All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on study abroad short-term opportunities in the US. My name is Andrea. I'm one of the Education USA advisors here at the US-UK Fulbright Commission. Today in this webinar, I'll be providing a general overview of US study. I'll talk about how the US education system differs from the UK. I'll do a quick introduction to what the process of studying for a full undergraduate degree in the US looks like. And then I'll jump into the study abroad route, how you can pursue this option. And finally, I'll talk about some of the other short-term opportunities for experiencing US culture that are available to UK students. There will be a Q&A section at the end. You'll see that you have the option to enter questions into the Q&A box. Do make sure that you're using that feature as opposed to the chat, but I do ask that you leave all the questions for the end once I've gone through the whole presentation, as your question may be answered during the presentation. However, if you do experience any IT issues, do pop them into the Q&A box and I'll do my best to address them. Finally, this webinar will be recorded and sent to you later this week, so don't worry about having to write down everything that I say, as you will have this resource to access later on. So a little bit about me. I studied in the US. My US university experience is actually a short-term study abroad experience. So I did my undergraduate degree here in the UK, but for one of my years of study, I went abroad to the US. I spent one academic year in a university in Southern California, and that was one of the best years of my life. I became really passionate about encouraging others to pursue study in the US, so I'm very pleased to be able to do this here with Fulbright. Now, a little bit more about who we are and what we do. As I said, I'm part of the Education USA team here at Fulbright. The Fulbright Commission was founded by Senator Fulbright just after World War II. He thought that the best way to avoid another world war was to promote peace and mutual understanding through education and cultural exchange. And this is very much what Fulbright aims to do today. There are a number of ways in which the Fulbright Commission does this, and one of them is through the Education USA services. Education USA is part of the US State Department. We offer free, comprehensive, and unbiased advice and information to students here in the UK to help them apply to the US. We are part of a network of 600 advisors in 400 centers around the world. So if your dream is to study in the US, we are here to help. Now, why should you consider studying in the US in the first place? Here are some of the top reasons why students choose to pursue study in the US. So the first one is reputation and variety. Some of the top universities around the world are based in the US, but what not many people know is that there are actually over 4,000 universities offering undergraduate degrees in the US, compared to just about around 120 here in the UK. And they're all very different from one another. So there's a lot more variety on offer, which means that it is possible to find something that's for just about everyone. Next is campus life. US universities invest a lot in their campuses to ensure that there are a lot of opportunities for students to have really vibrant campus lives. And this is done through the societies, through clubs or sports that are available. And their facilities are usually really sort of state-of-the-art facilities that students can access. So that contributes to having a fantastic campus life. Another thing that is really attractive to students is the academic flexibility of the US education system. So students over there are encouraged to study a broad range of subjects, even outside of their field of study, in what is known as a liberal arts curriculum, which is this idea of creating a well-rounded student who has the ability to look at things in an interdisciplinary way. Then it's funding opportunities, which actually comes as a bit of surprise to some, but there are actually a lot of generous funding opportunities on offer for international students. I'll talk a little bit more about them in a second, but this is another reason why students choose to study in the US. Studying abroad is a great way to internationalize your CV, to show that you're adaptable, independent, and it can really help you stand out to employers. And finally, you have the opportunity to really get immersed in American culture and experience it firsthand for yourself. I know that there's so much popular culture that is sort of created in the US, and so that it's really something that is really attractive for a lot of students. I also want to talk about some of the key differences between the US and the UK educational system. First of all is the duration of a degree. So whereas in England and Wales, most undergraduate degrees are 3 years long, at most US universities, you'll find that university degrees are 4 years long. You apply to the university as a whole, not to a specific department. And that comes back to this idea of the liberal arts curriculum, which I mentioned earlier. The application process is a bit more holistic than in the UK, as your application will be read by an admissions person who wants to know what you'll add to the university as a whole, rather than a faculty member of your chosen field of study. There are also no set fees or deadlines. Every university can set their own deadlines for submitting applications, as well as their own fees. And finally is the fact that law and medicine are only offered as postgraduate degrees in the US. You do have to already have a first degree in something else in order to study these. So if you're interested in pursuing this, you can ask more about it at the end, or you can check our website for more information. Now I'm going to do a brief introduction to what the overall process to study at a US university for a full undergraduate degree looks like, to give you more of an idea of what students can expect. However, please note that this is only going to be brief, and we do already have a full study in the US webinar on the US-UK Fulbright Commission's YouTube channel. We also have guides about this on our website, which walk you through the process in a more in-depth way. So be sure to check that out if this is something that you are interested in. So the first step that students will have to do is research universities. The students will be researching universities that they're interested in applying to, and we recommend that they do these 1 to 1.5 years before enrollment, and typically this happens at the end of lower 6th year. So if you're in England and Wales, it'll be year 12. Next, they'll register for admissions exams and aim to take these in the summer after lower 6th year. Then they'll finalize a selection of where they will be applying, typically early autumn at the beginning of upper 6th year. About 8 to 10 months before enrollment, they'll put together their application to US universities and submit according to deadlines. In the spring of upper 6th year, or around 4 to 7 months before enrollment, students can expect to hear back from universities that they applied to with their decisions. Students then will notify the universities with their own decision of whether they want to accept or not, and they'll apply for a visa 1 to 3 months before enrollment. Once they've got that, they'll be preparing to travel to the US, and we have a lot of resources on our website to help students with pre-departure, including travel advice, living arrangements, campus life, etc. And this is something that you, if you're interested on the study abroad route, you can also take advantage of. And finally, they'll begin studies typically around mid-August to early September, so it is slightly earlier than in the UK. As I mentioned earlier, there are over 4,000 universities in the US, which is why the process of researching and choosing a university is the first step that we recommend. We recommend students spend a lot of time here to find their fit university. And this idea of fit is finding a university that really represents your values, aligns with who you are, and can offer you the student experience that you're looking for. Some factors that students will consider are type of institution, location, overall cost of attendance, availability of funding, courses on offer, and this will be different for everyone. So I just want to give you an idea of some of the different types of institutions you can expect to find in the US. So on the left here, we've got liberal arts colleges. That is a picture of Middlebury College in Vermont. These are usually privately funded colleges with very small class sizes, very accessible faculty, and a very tight-knit community. They usually don't offer postgraduate level studies, choosing instead to focus on their undergraduate academic excellence. And it is not uncommon for professors to take their students for lunch to their own houses or for dinner. So that is liberal arts colleges. In the middle, we've got public research universities. That is a picture of the University of Colorado Boulder. These universities are usually state funded and often are often very large institutions with big class sizes. They have more postgraduate courses available, and they're really big on their sports spirit, with students going to games every weekend or so. So if you've are passionate about athletics or sort of supporting a college team, then maybe this would be for you. On the right, we've got community colleges. This is a picture of Lane Community College. These are 2-year institutions which are much more affordable than 4-year universities. They have less rigorous admissions criteria, and students, what they do is they usually spend 2 years at a community college, and then they transfer for the last 2 years to a 4-year university, and they'll attain their bachelor's degree from that university. So it can be a lot more cost effective. There are a few other types of institutions, such as specialized institutions like MIT. I'm sure you've heard about that. These usually only specialize in a particular field of study. And then there's also women's colleges, which are colleges that, like the name suggests, only admit female identifying students. But this is just to give you an idea of some of the options on offer in the US. There are a few strategies that you can implement to help you navigate the choosing process, such as using a search engine to narrow down your search, but more help with this can be found on our website. In the meantime, this information may help give you a little bit of context when deciding which of your UK university's exchange partners to choose from. It may be that your home university has agreements in place with a variety of liberal arts colleges, research universities, and women's colleges. So moving on to funding. This is one of the top things that we get asked about. So in this section, I will briefly cover some of the costs to expect, as well as the main sources of funding to study in the US. So in terms of costs, students can usually expect application expenses. So if universities require admission test scores, like the SAT or ACT, they can be around $65. Application fees, so every university application will incur a fee, and this will be anywhere between $50 to $100. Then there are visa and SEVIS fees, and if you're thinking about the visa, you also want to be thinking about whether you need to travel to the embassy, etc. Then there's tuition and fees. The cost for these will vary significantly, as every university can set their own fees and tuition costs. However, bear in mind that when universities refer to their cost of attendance, this doesn't just include tuition fees like here in the UK. It also includes things like accommodation, food, flights, books, etc. And then cost of living or other expenses. So while cost of attendance may include room and board and other expenses, you will still have to consider other living costs, such as eating out, clothing, entertainment, local travel, health insurance, etc. And as with the UK, cost of living will vary depending on where your university is located. So living in a city or studying in a city is going to be much more expensive than studying in a rural area, much like in the UK. In terms of sources of funding, these are the main sources of funding students use to fund their US studies. The first one is personal family funds. Universities will expect families to contribute towards some of the cost of a student's education. So that will be the first source of funding that students will look at, as well as any personal savings that they have. The biggest source of funding is the US universities themselves. So there are two main ways that universities offer funding to international students. There's need-based aid and merit scholarships. Some universities will be more generous than others, but you can find out more about these types of funding and how to secure it on our website. Lastly, there are also external funding bodies, which are organizations committed to furthering education for international students, which sometimes can offer niche-based scholarships. We have more information about this on our website. And just a note about loans. If you're studying for your whole degree in the US, then you cannot take your UK student loan to a US university. So loans in this case would be third-party UK loans. These we usually recommend be the last resource for students, as these often have very high interest rates and quick payback terms, so you might have to start paying midway through a degree. So anyone considering this should make sure to be aware of the terms and conditions before taking out such a loan. And finally, I'll give an overview of what completing an application for a US university will look like, what the components are, and what to expect. So the components: application form. Unlike in the UK, in the US, applicants apply to each university individually instead of through a centralized body like UCAS, with separate applications for each university. Admissions exam scores like the SAT or SAT. So in case you don't know, these exams are standardized tests which allow US universities to evaluate applicants from a whole range of backgrounds across the US and the world, and sort of give all applicants a more even playing field. Not all universities will require these, but many do. So applicants should spend time preparing to take these. Then a transcript, which is put together by the school. Then 2 to 3 essays. Most universities will require 2 to 3 essays each. These are not like a UCAS personal statement, but are a great opportunity for students to show the admissions officer who they are, how they think, and why they will bring to campus. These essays are much more personal, as universities want to know more than just why the student wants to study a certain subject. Then 2 to 3 recommendation letters. And like I mentioned earlier, an application fee of $50 to $100 for every application. So more information about these components, as well as how to navigate the overall process, can be found on our website. But this is an overview of what students can expect when applying to a full undergraduate degree in the US. However, some UK students choose to go another route. Instead of studying for the whole degree in the US, it is possible to still have an American study experience while getting your degree from a UK university. And that is the study abroad route. So a study abroad refers to the option of spending either a semester or a year out of your UK undergraduate degree in a different country in what is known as international exchange. There are also other ways in which you can pursue overseas studies for shorter periods of time, and I will discuss this later on. But for now, I'm going to be talking about the process of pursuing an academic exchange as part of your UK degree. Before I jump into what the process looks like, I do want to point out that there are a lot of benefits to studying in the US, which also apply to the study abroad route. Things like academic flexibility, campus life, employment are still benefits that apply to this route. Studying abroad is a great way to experience US culture, try new things, meet new people, internationalize your CV, but also try out completely new classes that you may not necessarily be able to study at a UK university. For example, in my case, my host institution offered fantastic art classes. I was able to enroll at a hands-on pottery class, which taught me how to make ceramic items from scratch, a skill that I still use today, and which I wouldn't have been able to learn at my UK university. So how does the process work? Usually you will apply through your home university. So your UK university will likely have agreements in place with US institutions that you will be able to enroll at. It's important to note that every UK university will have different partners and different exchange agreements in place. And I'll show some examples of this in just a little bit. But what this means is that if you know that you want to pursue international exchange in the US as part of your UK undergraduate degree, then this will be something that you need to keep in mind when you're deciding which UK universities to apply to. You'll need to do your own research and identify both courses that you like to do and universities that offer study abroad in the US, as some may have partners with other countries, but not the US. And we'll look at some strategies for doing this later on. Depending on which university you go to, you might be able to do an exchange year for a full academic year, or sometimes just for an academic semester. What you study and the length of your degree may also determine how long your exchange placement is. Some degrees have mandatory year abroad incorporated as part of the course, but for others, you might be able to take a semester or a year abroad, even if that's not part of your course. However, in this case, there will typically be requirements set by your home UK university that you'll have to fulfill in order to qualify to go abroad. And as always, this is going to vary for each university. I want to talk through some of the benefits of this route. So no admissions exams. Because you will be applying directly through your home university, you won't need to take admissions exams, and depending on what agreements are in place, you will most likely not have to complete independent applications for each university you want to apply to, but you will instead apply through your university's Department of Study Abroad, and they will be the ones who select you and offer you an exchange place. This means that you won't have to write essays, you won't need reference letters from your teachers or your school, and you won't have to complete many of the components that I mentioned earlier. This also means that you won't be operating under the timeline that I mentioned before, but rather you'll follow the timeline set by your own UK university. Your university will help you complete each component and will provide guidelines for when you should be completing each step, such as applying for a visa, etc. And just to give you an idea of how it worked for me, so I did a 4-year undergraduate degree because I studied in Scotland. My course did not actually incorporate a year abroad, but I was able to still go for a full sort of academic exchange during my 2nd year of study. And so how it worked is in December of my 1st year, I familiarized myself with the partner US institutions that my home university had on offer, and I made a list of my top choices. Every UK university will be different, but my home university allowed students to choose up to 5 universities that they wanted to go to, ranked from 1 to 5. In January, I submitted an internal application through my university's own website. I had to submit a short personal statement about why I wanted to go abroad alongside my top 5 choices. And I also had to meet some academic requirements, but this will be different for every institution. At the end of February, I heard back from my university with an offer of study exchange. I was fortunate enough to be offered my top choice, but that is not always going to be the case. Sometimes universities will offer you your 2nd choice or your 3rd choice, and that is completely normal. But you will be given some time to evaluate the offer and make a decision on whether you want to accept that or reject. Then around March and April, I started receiving communications from my host US university, and they were given to me through my UK university. So it's very uncommon for host US university to contact you directly. They usually will contact you through your home UK university. And then I started completing any requirements that they asked, like filling out forms, etc. Around May, I applied for my US visa. My home university gave me a little help with this step. In June, I had my visa appointment, so I did have to go to the US Embassy and my appointment. A few weeks after that, I was granted a visa, so I booked my flights to the US, and in the middle of August, I arrived to the US and commenced my studies. This is just my example, and it will change for everyone, especially for students who go abroad for only the second half session, as instead of arriving to the US in late summer like I did, they'll arrive in January or so. So it will vary depending on where you're going, when, and how long you're going for. And now I'm going to talk about some of the costs that are involved with this route. So if you do study abroad, you won't need to pay tuition fees to your host US university. Instead, you'll pay tuition fees directly to your UK university. Study exchanges typically rely on students from different universities exchanging places for a term or academic year. So while you pay your tuition fees to your home university, someone in the US who wants to come to your UK university will pay their fees to their US university, and you will simply swap places or exchange places. This doesn't mean that you need to arrange anything yourself. It's completely organized through your home university. In many cases, depending on your university, as well as which student financing body you use, your tuition fees for that year may be significantly reduced. However, while you will not be paying US tuition, there are still other costs that you'll need to consider. So many US universities will still require you to pay the costs of room and board directly to them. So that is the cost of your dorm room, as well as any meal plans that you need to enroll in. But the good thing is that you can continue to use your student maintenance loan to fund your study abroad in the US. So you can meet some of those costs with your UK regular loan. Then because you apply through a UK university directly, you don't need to pay for any application fees that I mentioned earlier or any cost of admissions exams, because you will not have to take these. Finally, you will have to factor in other costs such as flights, visa, service fee, and insurance. But depending on what student financing body you use, you may be eligible for grants to help cover some of these costs. So now we're going to look at some examples of UK universities that offer study abroad programs, so you can get an idea of how this will look. This is a screenshot of the University of Bristol's Go Abroad page. As you can see, they offer either a year or a semester abroad. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to search by location to see what partners university they have in the US. Now, as you see here, they have 20 partner universities in the US, and some examples are Boston College, Drexel University, and California State University. One important thing to note here is that you will see that it says California State is a new partner for the upcoming academic year. This is important to highlight because partnerships are constantly changing, and you won't really know which partner US universities are on offer until that year that you are ready to apply. I know in my case, the US university that I went to was not available the year before. It was a completely new partner for that year. So if I had gone abroad just 1 year before, I would not have been able to go there. So just to remind yourself that this is not concrete, it's not final, but it is just to give you an idea of some of the things that are on offer and what to look out for when doing your research. Likewise, here's a screenshot of the University of Manchester's Go Abroad page. If you go on their website, you'll see the partnerships that they have on offer, and you'll see that they're very different from those at Bristol. So like I said, it will change for every university. So earlier I mentioned that especially if your course does not incorporate a year abroad, there are going to be requirements that you'll need to fulfill in order to study abroad. This is from the University of Bristol. Note how it says that you need to meet a minimum first year average requirement of 60%, and note how the length of your degree affects the length of your placement. Likewise, this is from the University of Manchester, and as you can see, they also ask for a good academic average as a requirement to study abroad. So just to be aware of these requirements, as you'll first need to meet them in order to qualify to go abroad. So now I want to talk about some of the strategies you can implement to find courses and universities which offer study abroad programs. As you can see on the screen, one way to do this is to go on the UCAS website and search for specific courses with a year abroad incorporated. In this example, I just typed chemistry with a year in North America. Do be careful because some of the results that come up in the search may not actually offer a year abroad, so it's worth examining them in more detail. But you can do this with other courses to get an idea of which universities offer the study abroad option with their courses. Then what you'll want to do is you want to go on their website, find their Go Abroad page, and quickly have a look at the types of partners that they have on offer. Once again, remember that partnerships are constantly changing, but that should give you an idea of what types of partners they have and whether your course would be eligible for study abroad or not. Another research that you can tap into is BUTEX. BUTEX stands for British Universities Transnational Exchange, and on their website they list universities who are members of this organization and which have a shared interest in learning abroad. So you could potentially have a look at these to inform your search, but of course your main resource should be UCAS, the university's own prospectuses and websites. If you're interested in not only spending time in the US as part of your degree, but making the United States the focus of your studies, then you could consider American Studies, which is offered at a variety of universities. American Studies is the interdisciplinary study of the United States, and this usually involves exploring the US's history, literature, politics, and sociology, diving into American cultures, ideologies, and icons through a variety of lenses and from different perspectives. You may have a particular academic focus within American Studies, for example, political history, but since you're going to be looking at things from an interdisciplinary way, you don't have to commit yourself to one specific discipline, which ties into the liberal arts curriculum, which I mentioned previously. And it's also possible to do a joint honors degree, for example, American Studies with something else. American Studies often include a period of time at an American university, and oftentimes this is a requirement where you can take an even wider variety of classes as part of your studies. Of course, rules and requirements will vary. So like we did before, one way to carry out your research into universities which offer this course is to go to the UCAS website, type American Studies with Year Abroad, and then you'll have some results in there. You may find that the results differ slightly depending on your exact search terms. So the core search has a few different suggested combinations yielding different results. For example, you should try American Studies with a study abroad year, American Studies in politics with a year abroad, etc. So make sure you put in different search terms in order to get as many options, be able to explore as many options as possible. Now I want to talk about summer programs. This is also a way in which you can pursue short-term study abroad, but as the name suggests, it's going to be for a much shorter period of time, in this case, one summer. Summer programs are only available to undergraduate students, so you do need to be enrolled at a university in order to take part. But these provide great opportunities for students from all different subject fields who perhaps might not be able to pursue longer academic exchanges for various reasons to do a study abroad program. They offer the chance for students to experience a different culture and at the same time as they complete a short academic course. And at the Fulbright Commission, we offer the study of the US Institutes, which are 5-week academic programs for undergraduate students to learn more about the US at the same time as they develop and improve their leadership skills. These include an academic residency at a US university, and they consist of interactive classroom activities, discussions, lectures, readings, site visits, and more. These are fully funded. To find out more about eligibility and how you can apply, you can visit our website. However, many UK universities will also offer summer programs. So this is from Bristol. On their website, you will be able to check which school programs they offer and how to apply. And while this is not going to be limited to just the US, because many do have partners from all over the world, a lot of them also have partnerships with great US universities, sometimes prestigious US universities. But how competitive this will be and what their requirements are going to be will depend on what program you're interested in, etc. Now, having had a look at what the study abroad route to US study looks like, now we're going to look at some of the other short-term opportunities for experiencing US culture. Internships and summer work are great ways to gain valuable work experience whilst also learning more about US culture. There are a variety of different companies and different roles you can go for, scattered all around the US, enabling you not only to work, but also to do a little bit of traveling and get to know more of the US. And these are fantastic ways to share your culture with others, to learn leadership skills, and of course, obtain great financial benefits as well. Some examples of short-term work you can apply for are summer camps. One of the most popular programs is Camp America. Participants here get to work as camp counselors for younger kids in a summer camp location, and these are based all around the US. It's a great way to build those leadership skills, team skills, and learn more about US summer camp culture, which is actually pretty big in the US, alongside other camp counselors. PUNAC is an organization through which you can secure internships and other short-term travel opportunities around the world, including the US. And they provide a lot of support with finding internships, securing the work visa, etc. So this would be a good way to gain experience related to your field of study or work and to enhance your CV. And finally, a very exciting opportunity, or at least exciting for me, is the fact that you can take advantage of working for Disney through their Disney International programs. For example, you can spend one summer working as crew member in one of their parks. And again, this is a great way to build employability skills and also learn about the US in general. So having said all that, some of the ways we can help as you explore these options. We run the Sutton Trust US program. This is offered in partnership with the UK social mobility charity, the Sutton Trust. It's a program that allows highly achieving Year 12 students from state schools, from low or middle income background families to explore US university study and to access top universities. The program includes a number of UK residentials, followed by a trip to the US, where you get to visit a variety of different university campuses. For example, a women's college, a liberal arts college, a research university, with info sessions and campus tours. And then there's an optional second part of the program that students can apply to, where they will get support and help through the process of applying to the US universities themselves. It is a fully funded program for accepted students. So if you're currently in year 11 or below, then you can look out for the applications opening next November. So on our website, which I've mentioned a few times this evening, is a fantastic resource. Our website is a fantastic resource for students looking to pursue all kinds of study opportunities, including the full undergraduate guide. And if you see on the Going to the USA section, you'll not only see the full undergraduate guide, but also guides for postgraduate study, as well as a section on short-term study and more information about our study of the US institutes. And these are really in-depth guides, so I highly recommend that you take advantage of these. We do take questions by phone or email. You can give us a call Tuesdays or Thursdays afternoon. It's 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. And we'll be happy to talk to you through your questions. Or you can drop us a line on advising@fulbright.org.uk, and we'll be happy to help you that way as well. Now, whether you're interested in pursuing a full undergraduate degree in the US or just want to learn more about US universities and get a taste of what they have to offer, we run USA College Day every year. This will be the 43rd year that we run this event. It's the US University Fair that takes place in London. It's free for all attendees, and it's your chance to meet representatives from over 170 US universities and ask them questions or simply find out more about the universities themselves. That will happen on the 25th and 26th of September. Our registrations aren't opened yet, but they'll be open in August. And if you want to be one of the first people to sign up, you can go to our website to be notified when we do open registrations. We run regular events like these online and in person on all aspects of the US application. We run webinars like these. Sometimes they're on a specific topic like how to complete your US application or how to write the US essay. And sometimes they're a little bit more general. We're actually running a sports webinar next week for those interested in pursuing an athletic scholarship in a US university. So do watch out for that if you are interested in doing that. And when possible, we run seminars in London, but we also attend events around the UK, like educational fairs, and sometimes we host our own seminars in other parts of the UK. Most recently, we did Liverpool and Edinburgh. So keep an eye out for our events on our events page and our mailing list to see what events we have coming up. Okay, so now we're coming on to the Q&A section. As I said before, feel free to type in your questions into the Q&A box as opposed to the chat, and I'll be able to see them and help answer them. Okay, so I've got a question here. Is the application process the same even if you only want to study in the US for 1 year? Like I said, hopefully I've covered that in the webinar. If you want to do a sort of study exchange through your home UK university, that will be different and will be handled internally. So you don't have to do many of the components that you would otherwise have to do if you were to pursue a full undergraduate degree in the US. But there's going to be some steps that will be the same, like applying for your visa and sort of completing certain applications. Yeah, so certain aspects will be similar or the same, but the whole process will not because it is done internally. So I've got another question. When should I take the SAT or SAT exams? So if you are looking to pursue a full undergraduate degree in the US, what we recommend is that you take them in the summer between years 12 and years 13, or lower stakes and upper stakes, depending on where you are. But obviously, if you're hoping to do a study abroad, then you won't need to take admissions exams. And a note about this is that many universities are actually test optional, which means that they will not hold it against you if you do not submit admission test scores, which means that you don't even have to worry about these. And obviously, with the whole coronavirus pandemic that we're living through at the moment, a lot of universities in response to that are opting to go test optional for at least the next year. So that's something that you should keep in mind. So I've got someone saying they're in year 12 and they would like to do their whole degree in the US. What is the process of applying and how soon can they apply? So there is actually a full webinar on this topic on the US UK Fulbright Commission YouTube channel, so you can check that out. Or like I've mentioned, there are guides on our website that are very in-depth and provide a step-by-step process to what you should do at every stage of the way. How do we receive or apply for scholarships for courses such as art? There are a lot of resources around this area on our website, as well as on the US-UK Fulbright Commission's YouTube channel. So we do have a webinar on funding US studies. So if that's something that you're interested in pursuing, please check that out. How do I encourage students to look at universities beyond the well-known ones? Well, Claire, that's a fantastic question. It's something that we also struggle here at Fulbright. We usually try to remind students that there are over 4,000 universities in the US, and we obviously push this idea of fit as opposed to rankings or brand name. So fit, just a reminder, it's this idea of finding a university that really aligns with your values of who you are and what you want to get out of your degree. So students should be trying to find a fit university as opposed to trying to apply to brand name schools or to just very well-known schools. Because there is going to be something for everyone, and students will probably have better experience at their fit university rather than at a US university that they applied to that they heard of. And sometimes the chances of admissions are going to be better at less well-known universities, but for more information about this, I recommend that you check out our full webinar on this topic. Where can the SATs be taken? So again, you can find out more information on our website, or you can go on College Board, which is the organization that administers the SAT. If you go on their international page, you'll see that there's a page that says find a test center near me, but you can absolutely take admissions exams here in the UK. I've got a question here about sororities. And how likely is it for a study abroad student to be allowed to join a sorority? That really does depend on the US university and the sorority that you're trying to join. I personally can't speak to that because my host university that I went to in the US did not have Greek life. It's not something that I particularly missed. I actually preferred that it didn't have Greek life. So unfortunately, I can't speak to that. So law and medicine, so we've got a question here about law and medicine and how they're different, and could I please expand? So law and medicine are only studied at postgraduate level in the US, which means that you have to have a bachelor's degree first. If students are interested in pursuing medicine, if they're set on becoming doctors, then we say that it's better to do it here in the UK. It's faster and it is cheaper. And there are options for study abroad, short-term study abroad opportunities for medical students, where they can go for a summer, or they can do clinical clerkships abroad. So that is an option that medical students could consider. In terms of law, it's very similar thing. So law school is only available after you complete already a bachelor's degree. So what we recommend is that if you're interested in pursuing law, you can study a sort of related subject in the US, like politics, and then come back to the UK and do degree conversion into law here. I've got an interesting question here. How do we know if a universities are fit if we cannot fly out to see them? Well, one thing that you could take advantage of is USA College Day. So we'll have over 170 universities coming to the UK, and you can meet with their admissions reps and find out more about this university. But what we say is online research can be a fantastic way to find out whether your university is a fit or not. So you'll want to think about location, cost of attendance, and also the courses that they offer. And these are things that you can find online. So it is perfectly possible to find out if a university is a fit for you or not. You can also watch a lot of videos from students currently enrolled at the university on YouTube, and there's a lot of resources available to do that. So I've got a question here. Is there a search tool that allows students to put in the aspects they are looking for in a US university? and a list of suggestions come up similar to UCAS research? Yes, there is. And I did mention during my presentation that there's a lot of resources on our website. So if you go on there, and they go into the USA and the graduate guide on the choosing section, we actually list to a lot of, we link off to a lot of other sites that are particularly helpful for this. One that I can recommend, or that we recommend at Fulbright, is Big Future College Search. So that is Big Future College Search, which is a fantastic search engine that allows you to narrow down your search based on things that are important to you, like location or the sort of subjects that are offered, courses that offer, and also whether they offer funding for international students or not. So someone asked, do you have to get all A stars in your A levels, and are acceptance rates based on your grades? If you are pursuing short-term study abroad opportunities, no, you do not. You will have to meet the requirements set by your UK university. If you are pursuing a full undergraduate degree, then also no, because as I mentioned, the admissions are more holistic, and they'll not only be looking at academics. So they will be looking at academics, but that's not the only thing that they'll be looking at. They'll also want to look at how do you fit in with their student body, what do you bring, what are some of your values, and also your extracurricular activities. Do you volunteer, do you do things outside of the classroom, etc. So that is what they'll be looking at. So finally, one question is, if someone already has their A-level grades, how would the application process work? I'm going to assume that this means for a full undergraduate degree. Like I said, there's more information about that on our website, so I recommend that you check the guides out. But if it is for a study abroad, then you would need to be enrolled at a UK university in order to do that. Okay, so hopefully that has been helpful, and I've been able to provide, you've been able to get more of an overview of what studying in the US looks like, both for the undergraduate, but also for the study abroad level. Like I said, studying abroad is a great way to get fantastic benefits, such as internationalizing your CV and meeting new people and exploring new things. So I highly recommend. And if you have more information about any of the things that I mentioned during my presentation, do feel free to reach out to us either by phone, by email, or check out our resources and our other webinars that we have on the YouTube channel. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And hopefully you'll join us for future events like this.